Hey, you're probably wondering what's been one of my favorite investments I've been in that everybody overlooks in the real estate industry? Well, tune in because that's what we're going to talk about today with Jack Bosch. Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti financial advisor. This show is for you, those that work so freaking hard for your money, and you're now ready for that money. Start working harder for you today. You want that freedom, that cash flow today, not 30 or 40 years from now, but you want it now so you can live that life that you love with those you love while they still love you. And on top of that, guys, it's not just about getting rich, is it? It's about living a rich life because as you're blessed financially, you now have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. Again, thank you for tuning in, guys. I appreciate you guys making this one of the top podcasts in the world. All thanks to you guys and the ripple effect you're allowing me to create for you. As a reminder, guys, be sure if you haven't done so already, if you like social media or you follow any kind of social media, just check out at Money Ripples and follow us there. All right, guys. So I'm bringing on a friend that I've had him on several years ago, but as you know, we have like 104 episodes a year. So as a result, it's gotten buried so far back. I just had to have Jack Bosch back on again. Now, if you don't know who Jack is one of the really, I would say, top land educators out there in the industry today. Man, he's served over 1,000 clients, with his process that he's got and his coaching students that he's been helping to be able to buy and sell raw land, which I will tell you, I think is one of the most overlooked real estate investments available today that people just aren't talking about enough. And so really excited to have Jack on here today. Also originally from Germany, now lives here in the US, been here for several years, but definitely excited to have him here with us today. So Jack, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here, Chris.
Yeah, if I got it right, you did over, was it 5,000 transactions, real estate transactions now?
5,000, mostly land transactions, a few other ones like multifamily and single family and things like that. But mostly 98%, 99% land transactions. So yeah, we flip land like other people, or we wholesale land like other people wholesale houses. We sometimes split land. We sometimes entitle land. We sometimes do really the full gamut of what you can do with land, which actually is way more than people think you can do with land.
Yeah, for sure. Well, what got you in that in the first place?
Really trial and error. So I kind of laughingly nowadays say nobody ever wakes up and says, I'm going to be a land flipper. It's not because, I mean, once they know how it works, lots of people are saying, oh my God, this is so much better than house flipping.
Mhm.
Let me go into the land space. But nobody ever wakes up like that because it's just not a known asset class to get into. It's not actually very well known that you can take a piece of land and get it on a contract for 25 cents on the dollar and then turn around and sell it for 60 cents or 70 cents on the dollar and more than double or
Yeah,
sometimes triple or even 10x your money with it. And that
right.
you can do that without even using your own money or without even buying the properties, without touching the properties. And all of these things are attractive subjects, attractive factors of land, which once we stumbled into them, made us fall in love with land. And how we stumbled into it, very simply, I had a job at a software company. I'm not a software guy. I was in the business kind of department in a consultancy, and I was traveling 100%, working 80 hours a week, hating it. And but as an immigrant from Germany, I had to do it because it's the only job that I was able to get that would pay for my process to get my American green card legally, right?
Yeah.
And particularly important to say in this current kind of environment here.
It's not
But
easy to get either. I know
yeah,
everybody thinks you
no,
just walk in like to a DMV and get your citizenship, but it's not that easy.
no. It took me 5.5 years of working 80
Mm.
hours a week in that job, all kinds of hurdles, like five figures in legal fees and everything to finally get the green card in June of 2003. But just prior to that, I mean, I've been in the country since 1997, so 27 years now. As a matter of fact, I'm now longer in the country than more than 50% of my life in the country. But but bottom line is like we realized that we hated that situation. My wife and I, she's an immigrant from Honduras, Central America. We we just didn't like life. Like we wanted to stay in the US, we wanted to get the green card, we wanted to become American citizens, which we both are now. But we did not want that lifestyle of 2 weeks vacation, 50 weeks work, 80 hours a week in our case as a consultant, travel 100%, not only see each other on the weekend. So we started to look around, and through a long trial and error, we came across real estate. We failed in house wholesaling, we failed in house fix and flipping, we failed in all kinds of stuff. But then ultimately, we came across a piece of land that the owner didn't want anymore, and we got it for $400, and we sold it to the neighbor for $4,000 the same day. We're like, okay. I didn't have to estimate any repairs. I didn't have to go walk through the property and look at electric and look at roofing and look at foundation repairs and look at mold. I simply had to figure out what that property is roughly worth. And we figured out it was worth $8,000 to $10,000. You don't even have to be accurate. And then we offered the guy $400. He went through a divorce. He wanted to build this house there with his wife, but then they got divorced. And anytime he even thought about the piece of land, it reminded him of his marriage and the pain that came with it. And he's like, I don't even want to have anything to do with that thing anymore. And since it's not $1 million property and it's not a house and it's not doesn't have a big mortgage, it's free and clear, worth like 8 to 10 grand. He's like, I don't care. I just garage sale mentality. Just take it. $400, you're good. Take it.
Mhm.
And with that, he was able to move emotionally on, and we were able to sell it to the neighbor for $4,000. And then 2 weeks later, we
Wow.
got another property for $500, sold that for 10 grand.
Mm.
Then, I mean, since then, we've done deals where we've made $130,000 on a deal. We've made 60,000, 80,000, 100,000, 20,000, sometimes $1,500 also. I mean, not every deal is $100,000 deal. Sometimes you make only a few bucks, but kind of like the minimum profit is like $3,000, $4,000, and there's really no upper limit. One of our students actually just a couple of months ago made $1 million on one deal without using any of his own money.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So, but again, so we stumbled into it. And once we realized that, oh man, I don't have to go look at the properties. I don't have to go estimate repairs. I don't have to really know about construction. Because when you come from another country, like in my case, it wasn't like construction is completely different. In Germany, they use there's brick built properties, there's different roofs. And here it's like these shingle roofs, and there's a 2x4s and drywall, and it's so different that even the terminology is completely different. So the first time somebody told me about, I don't know, drywall, I was like, wall that's dry. Okay. What does, should it be wet or should it be dry? I think it's a good thing it's dry, but what does it even mean? And somebody talked to me a 2x4. I was like, 2x4 what? Right? Like, so and I'm just sounding silly, but the point is, I didn't know how to estimate a kitchen repair. I didn't know any of these kind of things. And when you get into, that's why we failed at wholesaling, because we got a triplex under contract, a house at like a 3 units, and with 3 kitchen, 3 bathrooms and everything. And we estimated everything 100% wrong because we just had no clue.
Man,
Yeah.
that's incredible. I mean, and you really just had to start this from scratch. It wasn't like you knew what you were doing. You're just kind of getting into it yourself, correct?
Yeah, I mean, again, the thing is that with land, now we're not developing land, we're not
Mhm.
building houses on it, we're not building buildings on it. At least at the beginning, you're not splitting land. You're simply finding land that the owner doesn't want anymore. If there's 46 million pieces of land out there. Typically, 5 to 10% of those the owners usually just don't want. So that puts us at about between 2.3 and 4.6 million pieces of land in the United States that the owners are simply have no more desire to own. Land is usually owned free and clear. So it's basically a sunk cost. Many times they have inherited the land from their parents, or they have owned it in the family for 30, 40 years. Of course, there's some multi-million dollar pieces in there, but those are not the ones that you typically get cheap. You get the ones that are worth $50,000, $30,000, $75,000, $100,000, $25,000. You get those for cheap because there's sometimes just an heir gets them, and now they have to pay property taxes. Well,
Yeah.
the last thing an heir wants to do is pay extra property taxes. So these people are just willing to just give them up. And the only thing you need to do is find them, get in front of them, make them an offer, like find out what the value of the property is. There's 5 ways, and then get them on a contract cheap, and then know how to sell them. You don't have to know anything else about real estate. So valuation of land is the most important thing to know, and how to find the people and how to get in front of them and how to sell them. So it's four skills that you need to develop. All four you need to develop on the housing side too, plus how to estimate repairs, how to find the right contractors, how to borrow money, how to do that. All of that is no longer not in the picture here. So it's a simplification of the real estate strategy, which therefore means that coming from another country without any knowledge, it was possible for us to be successful very quickly and from at home, because the best part of it, because there's no structure on it, you actually don't have to visit the property. You don't
Hmm.
have to go. You don't have to go have boots on the ground. You don't have to inspect the property ever, because what is there to see? Bunch of dirt and three trees or 15 trees. And nowadays Google Earth, Google Street View, Google Maps, satellite imagery from the city and the county gives you all that information. You don't need to be at the property. So it's 100% virtual too from home.
Well, one thing I love about it too is it's not just flipping to make a quick profit. You can even sell on terms where you become
Yeah.
essentially offer a mortgage to the buyers too. So it becomes more affordable and you can make more money that way with interest, right?
Yes, that's one of my favorite ways to sell. Like the difference between taking a $50,000 property, let's say you get it on a contract for 10 grand and sell it for 35 for cash. That's
Hmm.
a $35,000 profit minus closing costs, let's say $33,000. If you take that exact same deal and sell it with seller financing, number one, you don't have to discount it. You sell it at full market value, sell it at
Yeah.
50K, more profit. Number two, if they give you a $10,000 down payment, you have the money you need to pay the seller from the buyer. So the buyer gives you 10, you pass the 10 on to the seller, you have no
Mhm.
money in the deal. Now the buyer still owes you $40,000 and you allow them to pay the $40,000 off to you over the next 15 years at an interest rate of 15%, which is very normal in the land space, and with monthly payments of $500. So you create a $500 cash flow stream, which is 100% profit, and you
Mhm.
have that for the next 15 years. And if you add that up, that adds up to $90,000 in profits. So with
Right.
wholesale, you make 33,000. With a seller financing deal, you make $90,000 with zero money out of your pocket. And I mean, you do 20 deals like that, you're making $120,000 a year.
If you've been following this podcast, you're probably looking for great ways to create passive income right now, right? Well, we got you covered here with Central Lending. Central Lending specializes in alternative investments that actually are designed to create steady returns and long-term financial security for you and your family. Now, they prioritize transparency. They love, building those strong relationships, giving you that confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you have your money working harder for you, so you don't have to work so hard for that money. You want to learn more how to do that? Go to centrallending.com and check out what they've got today to create your passive income and wealth creation right now. Oh
Just
man,
from cash flow.
incredible. Well, we hear obviously the amazing things. I know it's not for everybody. And some people go in with expectations thinking they can just almost do nothing and just sit on their butts and and somehow make money. And that's not the case here, is it?
No, of course not. I mean, at the front of me teach this now, so we're a coaching program. Things at the beginning of every presentation, I basically say like, this is not a get rich quick program. Nothing here is construed to be get rich quick. We cannot make any guarantees about you making any money with the information we share with you. Most people make little or no money because they simply don't take action. So
Hmm.
if you're looking for something that you get wealthy tomorrow, keep buying those lottery tickets. Right? Chances are they won't work, but at least you have that excitement in a moment when you check the numbers. But the point is, in anything in life requires effort. The question is only how much effort do you want to put into it? So if you do a multifamily development, the effort is this. If you do a house flip, the effort is this. And if you do a land flip, the effort is this, but there's still effort, right?
Yes, right.
You still need to go contact the seller, identify the sellers. You need to go contact them, direct mail, cold calling, texting, whichever way you want. You still need to do a value analysis, figure out what these properties are worth, but you can do it from home. You don't have to go have boots on the ground. You don't have to go visit the property. You don't have to be knowing how much it costs to repair kitchen, bathroom, roof, foundation, electric, plumbing, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
No idea. To this day, I have no idea what it costs to repair a kitchen because I don't deal with kitchens, right?
Mhm.
So but you still need to go and make an offer, and then you still need to know how to properly structure a listing and put it out there, or how to properly find one of the really good realtors. Most realtors don't have the first clue how to sell land. They know how to sell houses, but they've never been trained on land. And how to sell land is very different than how to sell houses. Not more difficult, just
Yeah.
different. And most people hire the wrong realtor. So you need to know how to find the right realtor. You need to know how to create the right listing. Like in land, you don't sell necessarily like the features of the land. Nobody cares if there's 17 trees, 15 trees, or 3 trees.
How
What
much
they
dirt
care
you
about
got?
is what can they do on the property and from the property.
Mhm.
Like we're dealing with 3 properties. Infill lots, you sell to a builder. We're dealing with lots that are in the outskirts of town, like between 5 minutes and half an hour drive outside of a metro area.
Mm.
Those are attractive to people that want to just live on 5 acres outside of town, but once a week come into town, like the virtual worker since COVID that has taken off like crazy. They work
Yeah.
from home, and if you work from home, you don't. Not everyone wants to live in a cookie cutter home in a cookie cutter neighborhood where every house is only 6 feet away from each other, apart from
Mhm.
each other. Many people want to have a 2 acre or 5 acre space, half an hour outside of town, work 4 days of the week from home, and drive one day in the week into town.
That's right.
And the third kind of category of properties we deal with is large acreage, and again, ranches. So when you sell a ranch, you don't tell them about there's 17 trees here and 3 trees there. You tell them about, hey, this is a rolling hills property. There's a creek going through it. Most importantly, you have your privacy. There's hunting land close by. You're close by to a town which has 3 bars and a saloon and a gas station and a grocery store. Because if you're in that 40 acres for 3 weeks, you probably want to go eat out sometime. You're probably going to put some more gas and things like that. And there's a lake close by and the interstate is close by. If you have an hour outside of a bigger city and you need to commute into town at least once a week for groceries or something, you want to know how long does it take me to town? Where's the
Yeah.
next church? So when you structure listings for land, you talk about what's around, what can you do? And most people don't understand that. So it's not hard, it's just different. And when you do that, boom, business explodes and you can do deals from anywhere.
Well, and
But yeah,
that
but it's
gets into
effort. There's a little effort
yeah.
involved, of course. Just less because you don't have to deal with banks. You don't have to deal with tenants, toilets, and termites. You don't have to deal with inspections. You don't have to deal with repairs. All of that falls off. You just have a seller that doesn't want the property anymore, a buyer that wants the property, and you have the marketing method to find them, connect them, get the deal under contract, and turn around, market it, and sell it to them. Everything else falls off. So you got the complexities are like 70, 80% less than in any other real estate strategy.
I love it. Now let's kind of segue into that next thing, which is you mentioned you do some multifamily too.
Yeah.
Do you see any advantage to multifamily over raw land?
No, other than tax depreciation.
Mm,
The one downside of land is that you can't write it off because it doesn't
mm,
deteriorate. It just sits there. A hurricane comes over it, once it's dry again, it's the exact same land that it was before, perhaps with a few less trees. But other than that, it's the same thing.
yeah.
So the way I look at land is our cash machine. And the way
Mm,
I teach our students to do, like, look at land as your income machine. By doing land wholesaling, land seller financing, perhaps over time some land splits and things like that, you get cash. It's like house wholesaling. It's like house fix and flipping without the fix and flip. It's an active income machine. Just with less hassles and less tentacles and less moving pieces, but it's an income thing. It's your cash machine that you can scale to 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, a million, $2 million a year, whatever your desire is. We have taken people there. So you scale that to that, and then the question is, what do you do with that money now? Do you pay taxes on it? Because there's not much to write off in the land space. So
right.
the reason why we do multifamily is if we make, let's pick a number, if we make $1 million in the land space, we would have to pay $400,000 in taxes.
Hmm.
But if I take that $1 million and move it into a multifamily thing, I might get a $600,000 deduction. And I took that $600,000 deduction and write it off against my income. And now instead of paying $400,000 in taxes, I only pay $100,000 in taxes. So
Right.
I saved myself $300,000. Benefit number one. And the second benefit is that I have now taken my active income and converted it into an everlasting asset that spits out passive income.
I love it.
So ultimately, over the last 20 years, we have basically make money, move it over, take money, move it over, take money, move it over, and now we have over 800 apartment units that spit out cash. We have a bunch of houses. We have some commercial property.
Mhm.
So if I ever stop the land flipping, I got a massive cash flow coming in from here for the rest of our life. And that's basically the basic principle of wealth creation.
Yeah.
You maximize your active income and then you move it over and convert it into passive income.
I
That's
love
about
it.
it.
That's a huge message we give on our show as well. That's same
Oh, I'm
exact
sure you
thing.
do. Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
obviously all
that's
about that. Yeah.
absolutely. I want to
Yeah.
switch gears just a little bit. Well, one, if people want to learn more about how to actually do this, what's the best way they can follow you, learn more about your programs, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we have a thing that we call the 30-day blueprint, and which is basically a PDF that you can download, which shows you exactly step by step what you need to do in order to do land flipping. Gives you all the steps, and you can access that for free at Land Profit Fun, like Fun, like having fun, like
Mhm.
landprofitfun.com. You can download it there. Also, you can go to landflippingclass.com. We on the land flipping class, we have every once in a while, so like 5 day, or 3 to 5 to 8 day kind of like challenges and things where we lay out what we do. And of course, I also have a podcast and a YouTube channel. And my podcast is called Jack Bosch Show. And not because I'm like people laugh at when I say it's a Jack Bosch show. Well, you really think a lot about you. It's like it's not really about that. It's that it's an entrepreneurs and real estate podcast. So instead of giving it a specific name that I now niched in, it's I've had people from all walks of life come on the podcast. When I meet somebody that's super successful and really interesting, I get them on my podcast. There's of course we talk about land flipping and things like that a lot, but we also talk about other kind of things. And same with the YouTube channel. YouTube channel is Jack Bosch. So many different ways to get a hold of me.
Yeah, and I'm always impressed too, because I know with your podcast, Michelle's on there, even your daughter comes on, which I gotta tell you, I have 8 kids, but to see the stuff that your daughter does at such a young age just blows my mind. It's
Yeah,
incredible to see how
she's
sharp she
pretty
is.
amazing. They actually run their podcast is actually separate. It's called Becoming Wealthy. So go check that out too. Becoming Wealthy. And the word becoming there is obviously a double meaning because, well, it's a podcast transferring financial literacy from the mom and from the guests
Yeah,
to the daughter. So they're interviewing 7 and 8 and 9 figure entrepreneurs and breaking down financial concepts to the level that a 16 and 17-year-old can understand.
yeah,
And but at the same time, it's also about becoming. Our daughter is 17. She's becoming a young woman. She's becoming an entrepreneur. She's becoming a powerhouse in her own right. So becoming is like becoming wealthy, like in the transactional sense, but also in the transformational sense.
absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
and that kind of leads me in my next question here. And I'm catering this a little bit different because this is the Money Ripples podcast. I often ask people about the ripple effect, but I'm going to ask you kind of cater this towards your daughter, and even just your family, right? I mean, what kind of ripple effect do you feel like you're here to create on this planet?
Oh, that's you just hit on our mission here in life pretty much. The this like there's multiple levels of wealth and ripple effects that you can write. So like there's your own wealth, there's your monetary wealth, just how much money you have in the bank. There's the legacy wealth of how much, or there's the generational wealth of how much wealth can you basically build up and how much can you leave your kids. But then there is also the wealth, and that's to us that's obviously important, but we all know the statistic that the second or third generation destroys the wealth again. And
Right.
the only way to fight against that, to overcome that, is to really make sure that the next generation grows up with an entrepreneurial mindset and an understanding of how money works. So, from
Mhm.
a nuclear family kind of point of view, we're making sure that from the very beginning we teach our daughter. Like I was the school dad always. Like I was always at school. The thing. But then I didn't just volunteer and help and set up stuff. And in the evenings when we have dinner together, it's like, Sophia, why do you think I was able to be there and other parents weren't to be there? Other dads weren't able to be there. And she's like, well, I don't know at the beginning, but then over time she realized like it's because you don't have a job. And instead you have built up a business that allows you to have the freedom to do these things. It's like, exactly. And how about the other ones? Well, they're working hard. And it's like, yeah, do you think we work hard? It's like, yeah, you guys work hard too, because we have all kinds of businesses and things. But but what do you rather do? Have a job where you work hard or be your own boss where you work hard, where you can over time build it such that you have those freedoms? So
Hmm.
over time, she's become little by little learning that really entrepreneurship is where she wants to go. So from the family point of view, that's a ripple effect, of
Yeah.
course. And then of course our coaching and our things, we have taken over 1,000 people to the millionaire status already. To
Wow.
millionaire status. I mean, that's a legacy wealth for us. I mean, I always say when I'm in my 80s, I want to sit on some beach of the world. We already have a place in Hawaii, but let's say there, sit on a beach on our place in Hawaii overlooking the ocean with a glass of wine and basically saying like, you know what? We have not only done well for us, we have also done well by the world. We have left the world, we're leaving the world a better place than it was. We helped over at this point 1,000, by that time, who knows how many families to a point um, that the trajectory of their families is completely different than it was before. And that to me is a big ripple effect. It's like a big impact in the world. And that's my impact in the world.
I
And
love it,
Michelle's, of
man.
course.
Well, I know we're over time, but I got to ask you one more question, and it's kind of a big one because I'm one of those people that I've traveled. I even lived in other countries myself, like Japan, and I'm not the person to say that the United States is the greatest country in the world, right? Like I kind of when people say that, it's like, well, yeah, but where have you lived? If you haven't lived in every country, you cannot claim that. But obviously, you picked here. Why did you
Yeah.
pick the United States, and what are your thoughts on that?
So initially, I picked it because I met my wife here, and we really liked it here, and it was kind of neutral territory, and we fell in love with the United States. But then we stayed here because we didn't have to stay here. We could. I have a German citizenship, European citizenship. We could live in Italy, we could live in Spain, we could live in Portugal, and I wouldn't even need to go jump through any hoops. I just simply go there, and I got the permit to be there because I'm part of the European Union.
Yeah.
The reason why we stayed here is because it's just my opinion, just it still is a beacon of freedom. It still is a place of where success is being celebrated. Is it as much celebrated as it perhaps was 30 years ago? No, but there's some of the European tendencies are coming into the country of like a little bit of envy and a little bit of like oh, look at the rich and things like that. But
Hmm.
there's still it's still 10x more celebration of success over envy of success.
Mm.
It's still bureaucracy wise 10x less bureaucracy. Like in Delaware, you can set up an LLC in one day if you need to.
Yeah.
In Phoenix, it takes 3 days. In
Mm.
Germany, it takes you 6 weeks and $10,000 and that much of paperwork, right? Here,
Wow.
I fill like two forms out and I'm done. And it still is the place where from all over the world people come in, particularly for entrepreneurship. It's still the place that the land of opportunity. It has not gone away. It looks slightly different than it did 27 years ago when I came over here, but it's still a fantastic place. And we're as we're entering 2025 right now. It's a fantastic time to get started. Politically, it doesn't matter who's president or not. I always tell people, don't get hung
Yep.
up on that kind of stuff. You can control what you can control. We have done land deals under Clinton, under George W. Bush, under Obama, under Trump, under Biden. Now it's going into Trump again. It doesn't freaking matter to us who is president from a business point of view. You can have political, other kind of opinions, of course, around it. But from a business point of view, it's still a land of opportunity, and that's and a land of freedom, the land of freedom of speech, the land of freedom of religion, the land of freedom of these kind of things. And I absolutely love that. And the people are so friendly, so positive. Sorry, I'm going on a rant, but it's like it's really a beautiful place to live in.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I know I have friends that are really concerned. They think that the next Hitler is being reelected, right? And I know you've studied history, you've studied stuff like this as well, and you lived in a country where you literally had Hitler as a leader, even though you weren't alive yet. Still
Yeah.
you were in Germany at that time. How do you? I mean, do you really feel like having Donald Trump as president? Do you feel like that's the next Hitler, and that we're all in trouble at this
No.
point, or what?
No, I personally think that the biggest problem you have in the country is that the media on both ends has gotten so polarized that they're just bashing the other side with whatever words they can find that
Yeah,
have nothing to do with reality anymore. And I'm including both sides here very
yeah,
consciously. Like I'm including the hard, hard-wing right, like Fox and those guys. You can't watch that stuff because it's just pure bashing of the Democratic side, and you can't watch MSNBC because it's pure bashing of the right side. I'm sorry, but it's
Yeah.
just the way it is. So I have reverted to simply, if somebody makes some claim, I go fact check it myself, or I go watch the actual video of 20 minutes and see to make my own opinion to it. And what I'm finding is that neither side is right about this. We're far away from the next Hitler. Do we have a guy that uses incendiary rhetoric? Absolutely right. But you know what? The United States democracy is 100% working, right?
Mhm.
The people elected, obviously, that because they wanted to push back on what they feel has been an overreach, either in government, on certain kind of policies, certain kind of way of the woke world and things like that, to look at that, and they're pushing back hard, and their candidate loudly said that he's going to push back on that. So great, so that's going to happen. And is that bad? Is that good? I leave that up to judgment for somebody else. But the other thing is, at the same time, the Supreme Court is independent.
Mhm.
The legislative is separate. So there's zero risk, in my opinion, that there's a next Hitler. This is just incendiary language from the left, just like calling Kamala, whatever they called her, was incendiary language off the right. It's
Yeah, she's
just
a
the truth
communist,
is
right?
somewhere. The truth is that we're living in a healthy democracy that has corrected course right now, because apparently the majority of Americans think it's weird to wait to the left, and now it's wearing back to the center, or to, like, I lead to the right, but I mean it doesn't just go left to way right. It moves there, and then in 4 years the election is over, and then the United States has the next chance to decide which way they're going to go. I don't think this is far away from any kind of Hitler craziness that happened back then.
I completely agree. And actually, it's interesting when you think about it. You're like, well, if anything, dictatorship doesn't really work when you have two opposing medias fighting against each other, right? I mean, you really, if
Yeah.
anything, the media is the dictator, but we got two polarizing sides that are just fighting and
Yeah.
causing more
I mean,
chaos
it is
for
a
us.
problem once you start shutting down the media. It starts
Mhm.
when you start shutting down the freedom of speech. And my
Right.
understanding, at least, is that the what Trump wants to do, and again, people can fight over that or not, and just would encourage everyone to actually watch the individual. I've spent a lot of time in the last few weeks looking to the actual policy proposals and things like that, and because I'm, like, obviously coming from a German background and having seen the horrific things that were done back there, I'm taking these claims seriously, and I was like, okay, let me look into that, and what I found is that, on the contrary, like freedom of speech is meaningless if 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 you can't, or is only meaningful if somebody has a different opinion.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech means to allow other opinions. Whether you feel offended by them or disagree with them, you should celebrate the fact that other people have the right to give other opinions. Because guess what? In the Hitler times, that was not allowed. Went to a concentration camp if you had another opinion.
Mhm.
And the fact that freedom of speech, and that somebody like Elon Musk is taking over Twitter, and allowing anyone to say whatever they want to say, as much as that, of course, allows the fringes to go crazy, it is still a representation of freedom of speech, because any kind of, like, who is the judge of what should be said and what should not be said? The moment you do that, you're in censorship. So the fact that this is not allowed, and my understanding is that this is rolled back, that people can say what they want to say, yes, means more people are going to be offended. But I'd much rather have people be offended than people not being able to say what they want to say.
Amen to that. Well, Jack, appreciate your time here today. This has been awesome. Glad to have you on. Great things shared, of course, here today, and love hearing your perspective. I mean, it's always refreshing to hear, something that's different than what you get in the media, right? So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate your time today. And everybody will be sure to put his stuff in the show notes, his link and everything, so you guys can make sure you can actually tune in, not just to his show or his YouTube channel, but even if you want to get that 30-day guide, oh man, what a blessing that is. So definitely go check that out. Like I said, we put that in the show notes for you guys. Remember what Jack said earlier in this interview is that this does not work unless you do. Unless you work, this does not work. And so if you want to make your life better, it's got to be something that you do with your life You got to make those changes yourself. Go and make it a wonderful, prosperous week. See you later.